So I'm creating a new computer from older parts that are still new, and I'm making the computer fit into a Dell case. It's Micro ATX. So I'll be starting to build this soon. Yeah, so the graphics card's there, ready to go in, the RAM's there. I'm just waiting on the parts to be delivered. There'll be older parts, but they'll be new in the package. And yeah, we'll see if this can work. Putting it into a Dell XPS 8700, and we'll see if it works. So the parts have arrived for the older computer build. I've got a motherboard there, the Gigabyte motherboard. It's an LGA 1150 motherboard. The CPU is Core i5 processor, LGA 1150, 4590. I've also got one SSD, half a terabyte, 480 gig from ScanDisk, and one power supply from Corsair, 450 watt. I think it's gold rated. Yeah, so let's put the computer together. So here's the parts laid out on the bench. There's an older memory I already have, Corsair Vengeance LP. So these are the parts here, and then this is the computer where it's going into. It's a Dell XPS case. There, the cable's there. So let's see. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the back plate on, because that's the thing that you forget when you put on in the motherboard. So it goes in this slot here. So I'll do that now. Okay, so the back plate's on. It's up the right way, so now I'm just going to lay the motherboard out on top of the box, and we'll try and put the processor on the motherboard. So this is the motherboard. It's got a PCI Express, it's got a 4 RAM module slots, it's got serial ATA, it says ultra durable, it takes the processor, CPU fan, all the normal stuff. So the only thing I'm worried about is the power button, how I'm going to configure it to plug into these connections here when the Dell one is pre-configured in a molded plug. So yeah, I'll put the processor in now. So it goes in there, and then I have to add thermal paste and a heat sink, and then we put the motherboard into the case. It's Micro ATX, so it should fit. So we'll see how we go. So there's the processor and the heatsink, and it's going to be installed on this socket here. So I just have to align the heatsink so the cord plugs properly into the fan there without it getting caught. Okay, so the CPU is aligned in the correct fashion. So now we just close the latch and we install the heatsink. Okay, so the CPU and heatsink is installed. The pins are down all the way in the motherboard. So the next thing will be to actually install the motherboard into the case. So the motherboard is now installed in the Dell case. I was a bit worried about the standoffs and how wide they are. So I'm going to be very careful when I turn on the power supply to make sure there's no shorts. The next job is to install the power supply in this little area here. So this is a power supply. It's a fairly basic one, 400 and so watts. It's partly modular. That's the number there. It mounts into the Dell case okay, I assume. It's not too long, so we'll see if it fits, hey? Okay, so the case I got actually fits in perfect with the slots on the Dell case, so that's good. So the fan's at the bottom and the exhaust comes out there, so that's no problems. So the RAM is now installed, 32 gigabytes of memory. The CPU fan plug is in. The next thing is to install the graphics card and then plug the power supply in to the motherboard. Okay, so I've got the pinouts and the cables connected into the motherboard there. I had to pull the pins out individually for the power button and that, and insulate the connectors and plug them in because the Dell one wasn't standard. So I managed to do that because I had a piece of paper with the connections on it. So I was able to do that. Okay, so I've got all the cables connected to the motherboard, and I've got cables ready for the hard drive, and the CD drive is plugged in too, and I'm ready to install the hard drive now. Okay, so the cables are all plugged in. The SS hard drive is installed with the screws on the side of the case. It's very light. Everything's plugged in here, the power, the CPU fan, the fan itself, heatsink, RAM, graphics card, power's plugged into the graphics card, power supply's in, so the next step is to put the case back together. Okay, so the computer is on, everything's powered up. I just need to try and configure the BIOS now. So that's what it says on the monitor. So we'll see if we can install Windows. So I'm in the BIOS setup now. I'm going to see if it recognizes the hard drive, and I'm going to set the boot device to USB so I can install Windows. Okay, so I booted from a USB and it's come up for the installation of Windows. So hopefully I can install the Windows onto the SSD hard drive. Okay, so it says setup is starting. So hopefully it goes smoothly. Okay, I don't have a product key at the moment, so I'll skip that. Windows 10 Home. So we'll go next. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it's copying Windows files onto the SSD. So that shouldn't take too long at all.